Hi, I'm Doug Collins. For 18 years, I was the voice of Super Shop's Automotive Performance Centers, both on radio and on television. Over the next few minutes, we're going to be sharing a lot of memories of those 18 years, and some memories before and a couple of memories after.
America and Super Shops brings you Big Daddy Don Garlits. Super Shops features an incredible selection of high-performance parts and accessories at Super Shops everyday low prices. Buy BF Goodrich TA radial tires for as low as $39.95 at Super Shops. That's the famous BF Goodrich TA radial tire as low as $39.95 at Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers. Mounting and computerized balancing available too at all Super Shop stores.
America's fastest growing chain of automotive performance centers. That's Super Shops.
When you want your car, truck, van, or RV to run better, look better, check out your nearby Super Shops Automotive Performance Center. There are scores of Super Shop stores across the nation, more than 85 in 24 states. Super Shops, America's fastest growing chain of automotive performance centers. Most open 7 days a week. If there isn't a Super Shop store near you now, there will be soon.
That certainly brought back a lot of memories. Whoa! The Don Garlits shot was done at Pomona Raceway. That whole day of videoing. On other commercials, we had one of the fastest timed run in the The shots were done at the Channel 18 studios in San Bernardino. And final, we went to a production facility in Hollywood. And that was an interesting day putting that together. A lot of fun.
When you ride with performance from the Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers, you lead the way up front. Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers mean high performance discount pricing and so much more. All kinds of high performance and custom equipment for your car at Super Shops prices you won't believe. Super Shops Hot Deals. Super Shop sells BF Goodrich TA radial tires as low as $39.95. That's BF Goodrich TA radials, $39.95. And look, blackjack headers for better mileage, better performance, only $44.95 at the Super Shop stores. Remember, Super Shops brings America high performance discount pricing. Super Shops is the nation's fastest growing chain of automotive performance centers. There are scores of Super Shop stores across America. If there isn't one near you now, there will be soon.
Again, a memory jogger. The opening footage was shot out in the desert by a production approached Harry producing a spot for them, and we used that. The product shots we did in the store, and well, this was a very good example of co-op advertising. John Barton was just a genius at every co-op dollar. For those that might not know what a co-op dollar is, if you sell a certain product, they give you an account where money builds up that you can use for advertising that mentions that product. But you have to adhere to every manufacturer's strict co-op rules to get it. And John was a master of that, an absolute master. So you saw that there were two products. We might have been only paying for maybe a third of the cost airing that commercial. John Barton super knew how to use co-op dollars.
When you ride with performance from the Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers, you lead the way up front. Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers mean high performance discount pricing and so much more. All kinds of high performance and custom equipment for your car at Super Shops prices you won't believe. Super Shops Hot Deals. Super Shop sells a BF Goodrich belted TA as low as $39.95.
$39.95.
Hijackers, $49.95 a pair. Gabriel adjustable ease, $16.95 each. Remember, Super Shops brings America high-performance discount pricing. Super Shops is the nation's fastest-growing chain of automotive performance centers. Look for a Super Shop store in your area.
That's another good example of a compilation of high video shot out in the desert by an independent production company and video that we shot at the Riverside Super Shop store. Roy Mason and his crew from Channel 18 was our production team for both the commercial and for the 90-minute monthly product sales presentation. A lot of fun back then.
High performance parts and accessories? Super Shops Automotive Performance Centers. Super Shops has an incredible assortment at competitive prices, like BF Goodrich TA radial tires as low as $39.95, Gabriel shock absorbers, Ollie carbs, Urson cams and chrome valve covers, Edelbrock intake manifolds, Eagle headers, Mallory performance distributors, ignition wire sets, and more. There are scores of Super Shop stores across America.
Super Shops, because everyone deserves performance.
That's a real good example of one first buying spot advertising on local cable outlets. It was at the start of the time when cable providers were allowed to insert local commercials. We had an entire spot at a small, privately owned production facility in Running Springs. For the life of me, I can't remember Bill's last name, but it's owned by Bill. It's in his home. It wasn't top of the line. It wasn't Hollywood, but it certainly got the job done. This is an example of the very first Super Shop store looked like. I forget the year, on Baseline in San Bernardino, the start of an empire. This is an example of the early expansion of Super Shops. Super Shops at one time had nearly 200 stores across the nation. The first store on East Baseline in San Bernardino was the start. This is a shot of a typical Super Shop store. Notice that it has the logo in exact colors. Super Shops closed their brick and mortar stores across the nation, but there is now a Super Shops. The group put together and bought the name, and I guess they use the same logos, but it's strictly online buying. There are brick and mortar stores whatsoever. As Super Shops was expanding, the fastest way to get a store open was to acquire a Tom McCann store. Tom McCann had changed their marketing thrust from being outlying on major thoroughfares to going into malls. And the Super Shops building team could go in and take over a Tom McCann store and turn it into a Shops in 40 to 60 days, which is an incredible turnaround. But it worked. Here's a shot that we got off the internet of just a couple of ordinary Super Shop cars. Notice a lot of attention to detail. They look good and they run good. We always describe the difference between somebody who goes to an auto parts store and somebody who goes to a Super Shop store this way. The guy that shops at an auto parts store would take the carburetor off of his car, take it in, buy an exact or close to aftermarket replica of that carburetor, leave the old carburetor, and go home, put one back on that was exactly like the one that he was replacing. The Super Shops customer would know what he wanted to do, what he wanted the engine to do, whether he wanted to get off the line faster or if he wanted to get the top end higher. And he would take the carburetor off, go out to the Super Shop store, buy the carburetor that would perform the way he wanted to, and carburetor he'd put on his car to modify performance. Remember, performance is the key word here. Here's just on the road shoe store sign that has been converted to a Super Shop sign. This is a nighttime shot of an average Super Shop store. This was a very early vehicle used for transporting parts from our warehouse to the stores. This is way in the early days. Later, we started getting 18-wheelers, and Harry would not allow the Super Shop logo on the side 18-wheelers because they're going stretches of highway and could possibly be hijacked. So you never knew a big white truck going by was Super Shops parts or full of vegetables. Who knows? This is a shot of a typical Super Shops employee. When I was at KFXM and recording the commercials there, every week, a couple of times a week, either one of the females from the warehouse would bring over scripts or come by to pick up the tapes. And all the guys liked it because they always sent the prettiest Super Shop girls. I'm not really familiar with this incident, but I do remember that he was very upset about the fact that this photograph became public. Shops was the main sponsor of the drag racers and other cars, but the race team was allowed to sell small ads, like you see on the bottom there, under Super Shops. But in all photographs, Super Shops is, of course, predominant. This was the year that Super Shops was giving away a car a month. And the type of vehicle ranged from really customized oldies to some brand new material, which kind of reminded me of the story about radio station KLOS. It was one of the hard rockers in the Los Angeles market, and it did very well for us. But they decided to change format to easy listening, and they convinced us to give it a try for a week. So I went into the studio and produced a spot that sounded like no other Super Shops commercial ever sounded like. Slow delivery, music way in the background, no drag racing sound effects. It was, what's the word I'm looking for? Dull. Obviously, our relationship with that radio station ended. This is a good shot of HRE, Harry R. Eberlin, the founder and owner of Jobs. Notice the always button to the top shirt and the heavy gold chains. Keep in mind, this was long before Mr. T. This is another candid shot of Harry, or as we in the office called him, the Wizard. This is a shot of our monthly newsletter distributed to all employees. John Barton, again, great guy, super talented, but himself every month. This is a shot of Harry and his daughter. One thing we should always remember about Harry, he drove fast cars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, and he kept an attorney on speeding tickets. Because he, from his home, Corona Del Mar, to the warehouse in like 40 minutes. This is a good example of if you're well off enough to afford a beach house that has 5 floors, you're always going to have a good tan. As the years went by, Harry once again became a family man and was very to his family. This was the building where the Super headquarters had one entire floor at Fashion Island in Newport Beach. When I first converted from being contract labor to being a staff employee, I was commuting 2 times a week from my home in Grand Terrace to Newport Beach. And I found that traffic was so bad, you could actually read the news while driving. That lasted about a month or so. And I just said, hey, do this anymore. John was also unhappy. He was commuting from the, whereas when the offices were at the Colton warehouse, he had a relatively short commute against the rush hour traffic. But he didn't like it either. When John and I convinced Harry that we just couldn't make that commute anymore, we moved here to the warehouse in San Bernardino. We had offices for about a year, and then Harry had a small, medium-sized office-like building a few blocks from the warehouse, and we moved top man and the admin department over there. Example of the roster and employee roster, telephone contact. This was at a time when I believe Super Shops had about 60-some stores. Here's an example of If you own almost 200 Super Shop stores all across the nation, this is an example of the kind of home you're going to live in. This is Harry's Beach House down in San Diego. That was where he was with Super Shops fell to earth. This is a site of the original Super Shop store on Baseline in San Bernardino as it looks today. So the Super Shop empire of almost 100 stores across the nation has crumbled. But there has been a resurrection of sorts. A firm bought the rights to the trademark logo and is a online-only performance parts sales operation that's headquartered in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We wish them the best of luck. Well, it's been fun sitting here remembering about all the great times I had associated with Super Shops. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll come back next time for the next installment of I Remember the Inland Empire. Harry, if you can hear me, I thank you for 18 years that we spent together, and being associated with Super Shops, I can honestly say positively changed. Here's to you, Harry.